Hello, everyone. I'm meteorologist Ted Keller, and here's today's severe thunderstorm outlook areas. We have a pretty busy weekend, especially over the high plains, Oklahoma and Texas. After that, it calms down considerably, which is good news. Here's the overall severe weather risk for today. We have three pockets, almost really four pockets of area that we're watching. A stalled front in southern Texas along the Gulf Coast states to North Florida, South Georgia. Another little pocket there, Cleveland, Detroit in that. Another one there in New Jersey. But the main one is, I'm sure you see, stretches from Wyoming down to Oklahoma with an emphasis on that area there in western Oklahoma. Zoom in on that. That's a level 2 out of 5 chance as evaluated by the Storm Prediction Center for basically western Oklahoma and a small sliver of northern Texas, Wichita Falls, Lawton, two big cities that are in that risk area. The tornado risk goes with that, and it's actually at a 5% risk now. That's gone up since previous outlooks for southwest and west central Oklahoma, basically. So I-40 kind of runs through there. I-44 kind of runs like that. And that's basically, it's kind of sandwiched in between those two areas there in Oklahoma. And in terms of potential intensity, it's the level 1 intensity that the new criteria that the Storm Prediction Center now uses. So if it's this hatching right here, you see that the percentages as they break down heavily weigh toward an EF0 or EF1 with the next highest probability at an EF2 in that area. If we look at Nadocast for today, it actually narrows their 2% risk area down quite a bit, but also does emphasize that area between just northeast of Detroit into portions of southern Ontario there and northern Ohio. If we look at the hail risk, it is looking like this, about the same area really as the slight risk area, and they have a new criteria here too, so their first level of intensity, again, heavily weighs. We're talking about 50, 30, 80% chance of it being in this category here, so probably less than 2 inch in diameter. The next one up there are some 2 inch probabilities, about 15%, but the next level up would include those probabilities going a little higher, of course. Now, Nadocast does do a hail risk chart too, and again, they're pretty hot on the high end of things here with a 30% chance of hail. Again, 1 inch is the criteria that the Weather Service uses as damaging severe hail. And they have a hatched area here with a 10% chance of 2 inch hail or more. So they're a little more enthusiastic about the hail in west parts of Oklahoma. And also, a little bit of a sliver there in northern Ohio and around the Detroit area as well. On the wind side today, not as severe of a threat. In fact, they don't have an intensity level associated with that one today, but a 15% chance in that slight risk area, that number 1 area. On CSU's side, a little blip of a tornado risk right there. Not real heavy on the tornado, but hail coinciding with what we were talking about, and wind as well. Now, this shifts into Texas. This is Sunday's look now. So we have a level 3 out of 5 for the heart of Texas, basically. And the level 1, which is the marginal risk, extends and includes all of Florida and a good chunk of the southeast as well, coastal areas of the southeast, Alabama, Georgia, a good chunk of Mississippi as well. Zooming in here, we have that level 3 that runs from San Angelo to Dallas, includes Waco, Killeen, not quite Abilene, but of course these lines are a little bit flexible. And then the level 2, the slight risk, it expands quite a bit beyond that. Little Rock, Shreveport, down to Austin, maybe including Midland and Wichita Falls. There's a tornado risk with this tomorrow, Sunday, but it's less than today's risk in western Oklahoma. Of course, upgrades may change that, but right now it sits at a 2% chance of a tornado in the core of that enhanced risk area. The hail is being taken a little more seriously with a 30% chance of hail from San Angelo to maybe Waco in the Dallas area, and they have put that again in the level 1 intensity category. And again, to interpret this, so the colors indicate the percent chance of severe hail, which is 1 inch. And then this striped area basically attempts to assign intensity, and they don't always coincide. So in other words, it might be a lesser chance in Denton for hail because it's in the yellow, not the red. But if they were to get hail, the chances of this intensity of hail is the same here as it would be in the center of that red. if that makes sense. There is also another AI product I've been kind of looking at, StormNet. This is valid from 4 to 5 on Sunday, and it does put kind of a hail bullseye right off to the east of Abilene, includes San Angelo as well. The wind risk is also pretty substantial on Sunday. They were expecting these individual cells to line up a little bit and produce a higher wind risk. And even though I don't have a graphic for it, they did put a significant wind risk on that. And I don't have the percentages and the criteria built on that yet, but I will get to it. On Sunday, nothing on the tornado, hail, and wind, and not surprisingly in those areas that I showed you. And then on Monday, it's the last real day of any severe weather risk of any consequence anyway, at least the way it looks now. And on Monday, there's just this marginal risk of severe weather from New Orleans up to the Carolinas, includes South Georgia and most of Florida. And then again, there's really nothing in the outlooks worth showing you. So I skipped over all those this week, which is a quiet spring. That's good news. But then the supercell composites on the 9th through the 15th. Again, just kind of a broad brush Kansas to Texas threat, a little bit of a Florida threat. Some hints that we have cooler, stable air still dominating out here for a while. Then that becomes more of a ridge of high pressure that builds over the central U.S. And then this is, Oklahoma and Texas threats 16 through the 22nd. And then finally a front range Rockies threat as a big ridge of high pressure develops and moisture kind of creeps up here. And the jet stream flow, generally speaking, goes like this, but there's also a ridge building here in the upper atmosphere. So that's why this threat's shifting north into Montana for later in the month. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day one because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.